Hello everyone, welcome to MIS 5450, which is the Management of Information Systems. This course is offered as part of the online MBA program at Baylor. My name is Tim Kayworth and I'll be your professor this semester. In terms of my background, you can read a little bit more about that on Canvas, so I don't want to go a whole lot into that. You can learn about my education work background. What I will say is I do bring work experience both from the business and the IT side from prior work in industry, which I think fits well with the subject matter of this course. So let's talk a little bit about this course. So first off, what isn't this course? It's not a course in personal computing, nor is it a technical course, although we will talk a lot about technology. It's really about technology use within organizations. And so really addressing the question of how do we use IT to help drive value and innovation within organizations. So how do you use technology to help drive competitive advantage? And so while this is a technology field and technology is important, we will discuss some technology as part of this course. But at the same time, I'd say that most problems encountered by organizations in the IT area really relate to poor management practices. So our focus will really be more on the management of IT. And so again, there will be some technology topics we'll hit in Module 2 particularly. But overall, it's really going to be about how do organizations effectively manage technology. So we're going to cover 6 modules real briefly. The first module will be on basic concepts. So what are the role of information systems within organizations? We'll talk about some organizational approaches to technology, such as being more defensive versus offensive. So what approach should companies take? We'll look at the Gartner Group Emerging Technology Hype Cycle. And what does the Gartner Group say about when companies should adopt new technologies? Module 2 will be the Technical Foundations module. So we'll talk about IT infrastructure versus applications. What's the difference? How do those two relate? What are some different layers of infrastructure? We'll talk about IT architecture. So what is an architecture, and how do organizations need to develop an appropriate architecture to help drive their business strategy? We'll talk heavily in this module about the problems that companies have with developing information or technology silos, the problems that creates, then how do they move out of that to more what I call globally integrated architectures. And so we'll talk about some ways to do that. Module 3 will be looking at answering the question, how do companies get value from IT? And we're going to look at really 3 answers to that. Number 1, being strategically aligned, IT with the business strategy, so strategic alignment. The second thing we'll look at is IT governance, so the need for effective governance. And then third, we'll look at IT leadership, so the need for modern 21st century leadership that's more proactive and more engaged in the business side. So those are the 3 areas we'll look at in Module 3 to answer the question of how do companies get value from IT. Module 4 will look at IT funding decisions. Organizations spend a lot of money on technology, so how do you go about prioritizing IT investments? Does ROI always work? Is that's something you need to do, but we'll also look at some other issues with trying to place a value on IT projects. Module 5 will look at IT project management, which is I'm sure a lot of you have been involved in rolling out new technologies or implementations. So we'll talk a lot about why do so many IT projects fail. We'll talk about some project management best practices. We'll talk about change management. We'll look at a couple of cases dealing with this whole area of IT project management. We'll also spend some time talking about the build versus buy decisions. You build your own software, custom development, you buy it from vendors, versus outsourcing. And then also software as a service as an alternative. And then in module number 6, we'll wrap things up with a section on information security. We'll talk about information security best practices. So that's very practical. And then the last topic will be on the social and ethical implications of information systems. And so really the notion that with all the great things that technology can do and how it can improve our lives, there are also unintended consequences, information privacy issues, for example, and so we'll hit some of the social and ethical implications of information systems. Then we'll wrap things up with a final project. In terms of the logistics for the course, we'll have quizzes due every Friday, due at about midnight Central Daylight Time. We'll have discussion board posts, initial posts due every Friday with replies due by Monday, and then we'll have an exercise, one per week that's due. That's an individual exercise due every Monday. In terms of readings, we have a very short book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, which I think you'll find very fascinating. It really talks about what's currently going on right now as we speak in terms of how technology is disrupting our world, and it looks ahead in terms of what can we expect to see in terms of future changes. The Adventures of an IT Leader, that's a book. It's out of Harvard, really based on their Center for CIO Leadership, and it's an extended narrative. It's a fictional narrative about a guy in a financial services company, a guy, I'm being real specific here, a loan operations officer who gets promoted to the role of CIO, and so what are some of the different challenges he faces in his role as a new CIO. So that's a second book. We'll read multiple chapters out of that. We have a couple of chapters from a book called Guiding the Digital Transformation of Organizations. And along with that, fourth, we have the Harvard Course Pack that you'll need to purchase, and that just contains several readings and case studies. So we'll do the TJX data breach, security breach at TJX is the name of the case. So a real-world case about a security breach. So that comes with the Harvard Course Pack. And sprinkled throughout the modules will be any number of videos, and oftentimes these are videos. So for example, the Internet of Things, we'll talk about that, and I just thought it was easier to get just a good sharp video explaining that. Another one on big data, another one on data warehousing that I think does a good job explaining these concepts, and the good news is they're free. So what I've also done is, if you go through the modules, I've annotated the readings, the videos, just a sentence or two on saying, okay, here's a video and here's what the video explains. Or this, this Harvard Business Review article on Harris called Diamonds in the Data Mine. Here's what it illustrates. So I've tried to annotate our readings to kind of give you a roadmap for why I'm having you read certain articles or view certain videos. I've also provided PowerPoint voiceovers. They're there at your option to listen to. I wouldn't recommend listening to my voice too much and listening to me drone on. So that was supposed to be a joke there, but those are available, and it's just the PowerPoint voiceovers are my slides that I provide with just my commentary that on key points that I feel are important. So they're there if you want to listen to them, but I've also provided the slides without the voiceover. They should be available in each of the modules. Finally, really the final comment is this is graduate education, and you all have just a rich variety of work experiences and life experiences. So learning isn't a one-way street from professor to students, but I think we learn from each other. You all will bring a lot of great examples into the discussion boards, and so that really helps to enhance the learning here in this class. So I really look forward to working with you all. In the meantime, anytime if you have questions regarding anything, please call me or drop me an email. I'd be glad to catch up and talk with you. So I look forward to working together. Thank you.